Plexiglass by Aoibh McCann. I once read about this woman called Emma, an upper-class English woman who lived in Sudan as an aid worker. She met the warlord there. I can't remember his name, but I remember that he already had a wife. Emma married him amid the starvation and the violence. A reporter went to see her and her new husband. They offered him food from orange plastic UNICEF plates in a tent in the desert, protein balls made from high-calorie Unimix, diverted from the aid drops. There was a documentary made about her called The Warlord's Wife. I can't find it anywhere online. I search for it obsessively in secondhand shops. I want to know why she loved him. I need to know. His favourite food is a sandwich made from a whole, crusty white bloomer. He eviscerates the loaf, pulling out all the soft insides, filling it with cheese singles and crushed in the bag crisps. I'd eat the insides he discarded, rolled into dense white balls, my bag of crisps eaten whole, one by one. No one is left in my life except him. The people I know blank me on the street. In the end, before he finally turned himself in, we slept in a single bed. He gave me a ring with a purple stone, and I bought him a gold cross that Christmas, though we never went to Mass. He asked me did I want to get married, but he meant to an African man who needed residential status. Quietly said no. He asked me again last week, though he wants me to marry him this time. It'd be an advantage because of where he is now, in prison. Every night in our bed before he left, he'd whisper in my ear that he loved me so much that if I left, he'd have to find me. I flushed the ring down the avocado toilet bowl when the Gardaí came. He answered the door to them, and that's when I knew that the person those women had described really was him. They looked right through me. I learned about love from songs, not from looking at my parents. I learned the lyrics off by heart and absorbed them into my bones. Love was unavoidable. Love was at first sight. People died for love. He told me he loved me the day after we first kissed. He told me he had been waiting for me all his life. He told me that he couldn't bear to spend a single night without me. In the yellow textbook for Leaving Cert, there's a paragraph on a honeymoon period that lasted a year after your wedding day. The book said that after the first year, things got boring, but you should expect that and do practical things like draw up your household budget together. Examples of household budgets always included the cost of fresh flowers. I can't remember my father ever giving my mother flowers or her buying them. Though a girl in my class said her father had given her flowers when she got her period, but he was from down south. Apart from the yellow and white carnations on the altar on Sundays, the only flowers I ever saw indoors were the wildflowers that my older sister used to put on her May altar when she was going through her religious phase. The May altar was an upside-down cardboard box, some holy water in a Mary Mother of God shaped see-through bottle with a blue twist-off cap shaped like a crown. I wanted to wreck it because I always resented that sister, who was too afraid of being cast into a burning, skin-crackling hell for the sin, blasphemy. Our honeymoon period didn't last a year. It barely lasted a month after he moved in. He never gave me flowers, but things were never boring. In religion class, I learned that if you really love someone, you will die for them. That is the greatest thing of all. He says he will have nothing to do if I stop visiting. My favourite advertisement on TV was when the man interrupted a wedding and the bride ran off with him. It was an advert for cars. I can't remember what I liked about him before we were separated by plexiglass. He has a great smile, but his teeth are bad. I love his eyes, but they turn green when he is angry, and that is a lot of the time. Plexiglass has improved him considerably. He has tattoos. They aren't the sexy kind. They aren't dragon sleeves or hearts with daggers. They are Indian ink dots on his face and ACAB on his knuckles. His one true belief above all others: all coppers are bastards. The tattoos were described on the posters. I listen to the greatest love songs on my phone, on the bus, on the way out to Arbor Hill Prison. They take it off me on the way in. When I am waiting for him to appear, I stare down at my feet at the biker boots that he hates, that he can't see through the hatch. My feet keep following him to prison. They've always followed him everywhere, despite everything. I asked them not to, but they never listen. They followed him when he first went on the run, when the posters went up all over the country. My feet casually tramping over my friends and my family, one foot over the other, they followed him. I read aloud what he did from the papers over and over again, trying to make them see sense. The journalist said he waited outside their houses until they turned the key, then he pushed his way in, that he always slid the rings off their fingers first, that he told them he would come back and find them. They went to the Gardaí. My granny only ever told me one thing about love, and that was that when poverty comes in the door, love flies out the window. He brought poverty in the door with him. They came as a package, not a noble kind of poverty, a fuck you poverty. And I'm doing this because I was brought up in it, poverty, and the only other way out of this is the lotto poverty. He never bought a lotto ticket in his life. In the dream I have, the one where I'm not afraid of him, I crawl through a stone arch to get to him. I crawl and I listen, and I'm only scared because I think I'll never get to him. What's strange about the dream is that he has his arm around me as we walk through the corridors, though he never put his arm around me in public. I try to get back into the dream. If I wake up in the middle of it, we are best in dreams. Once someone told me my fortune. They said if I stayed with him, I would be a kind of a slave. I stared at the curse written on the palm of my hand. They were right, though I still visit. He doesn't really know where I live now. My post is redirected. I tried to leave him before, but I kept ending up in all those hiding places with him. My stomach lurched when he ranted about who was really to blame for what he was. The estate, the drugs, the place he used to work, his father, his mother, his ex, his brother, his sisters, the city, me. For months, I managed to borrow money from men with matching Indian inks who followed me home and stuck their chins out at me, standing at the gate, staring as I turned the key quickly and went in. He twitched the curtain and watched until they went away. I paid them all back, one by one, in whatever way I could. I know I'm not supposed to acknowledge even the existence of a why. The women in the chat rooms have told me there is no why, that the why is put on women, that we must discard the why, that the why is his business, not mine, not mine. But at night, I still scan for logical explanation, as if it's just on the tip of my tongue. The dark, dark, dark that he whispered in my ear as I came, the stuff that I thought was a fantasy. I wonder, does he sleep with men in prison? I suppose everyone assumes that that's what men do, either that or they're raped in the shower, or both. I don't ask. Just before Christmas of the first year, during the honeymoon period, he chopped up our bedroom with an axe. I don't know why he had an axe. He had a photo of his mother and he put it on the pillow beside me as I sat in bed watching. I can't remember now why he did it. Repeat after me. There is no why. I see women like me on TV, women who marry prisoners on death row. I can't stop loving him, even now. Even now, I know what he did. Even though I read how every single one of them broke down when they read their witness statements in court, I realised that's what he'd been whispering all along. It was written on the palm of my hand. I suppose I should be grateful that he turned himself in, that he pled guilty, that I didn't have to give him an alibi. Maybe he did it for me. I am the warlord's wife, the woman with good intentions, blinded by love. He acts like nothing has changed except that he is doing his leaving cert, like he's in a boarding school for men in their late 20s who have decided to finally finish school. He says when he gets out, he'll get a job, we'll buy a house, we'll have kids. I am saving my money so I can leave before he does, without warning, without trace. I have enough to leave, but not enough to change my face. When I have enough, I will go. I think about Emma, the warlord's wife. She died in a car crash. She missed out on this part, the part where you look back and watch yourself falling, the part where you stop denying that you had no idea what was happening. I cannot trust myself because I love him. I have failed as a woman, a girl, a daughter, a sister. I gaffer tape my own mouth and stay in my room and sit on my hands. I do not have to love him, but I'm not sure how to stop.